Hello, people! So, today we have the Elden Ring Talisman. It's more of Elden Ring talismans to feats. Not feet, I'm not Miyazaki. But it is, these are talismans to feats. They mimic every single talisman from Elden Ring. Now, some of these, I have the locations on where they can be found in the actual Elden Ring campaign. Although it is not finished yet, I will make some of the mechanics beforehand. So you can ignore those. You can also ignore the ones that are related to status effects, such as bleed or rot, because those you could obviously change to other conditions, but those are not in base game D&D, so at some point I might include them in a video or a YouTube short. But with that being said, let's get into the O. So these are obviously feats. They can be used in normal D&D, but in the Elden Ring campaign, you have to meet the prerequisite and you have to find. This is to stop people from going and routing Radagon's Soulslike right at the start of the game, and as soon as they hit level 12, getting plus a ton of good stats. But first, we're going to start off with Radagon's Scar Seal, which has a prerequisite of level 4 and can be found upon clearing the Weeping Everjail, and it increases your strength or dex by 1 and increases your constitution by 1. However, your hit point maximum is reduced by an amount equal to your proficiency bonus. So this gives you a spread of stats for you to pick from to increase. However, you take a little bit of a hit to health, although it won't matter too much if you're a fighter and taking this. Then you get Radagon's Sword Seal, which has a prerequisite of level 12, and you have to clear Fort Faroth to obtain it. And to do that, you need to get +2 to strength or dex, and +1 to constitution. However, your hit point maximum is reduced by twice your proficiency bonus. This makes it so it scales over time, so it's not just a if you get it like Radagon's Scar Seal, if you get a -2, isn't going to matter when you're level 20, but a -6 might matter a little bit more. Then this continues to Marika's Scar Seal, which is again level 4 and can be found in Seofra River, and you instead increase your wisdom or intelligence by 1 and your charisma by 1. And then you get the same hit point maximum reducement. And Marika's Sword Seal is the same as Radagon's, with increased wisdom or intelligence by 2 and charisma by 1. And then hit point maximum is reduced by twice your proficiency your proficiency bonus. Next is the Crimson Amber Medallion, with a prerequisite of level 4 and bought from a merchant near Castle Moor. And this, your hit point maximum increases by the amount equal to twice your proficiency bonus. Then you get the Crimson Amber Medallion +1, which is level 8 and found in Volcano Manor, and then you instead increase it by 3 times and your constitution by 1. Then +2 is for level 12 and found in the Subterranean Shunning Grounds, and this is proficiency bonus maximum. Your proficiency bonus increases your maximum hit points by 4 times, and you gain advantage on con saves against exhaustion. Then Cerulean Amber Medallion, level 4 and or found in the Lakeside Crystal Cave, which lets you learn 1 cantrip from any spell list, but your spellcasting ability modifier is associated with that list. So if you're taking a wizard, you are going to get you're gonna have to scale based on intelligence. But if you're taking Warlock and to get like Eldritch Blast, you're gonna have to scale off charisma. And then you get Crimson Amber Medallion +1, or Cerulean Amber Medallion, wrong medallion, and it has a prerequisite of level 8, and it is found in Castle Sol. You gain 1 additional first level spell slot and 1 additional second level spell slot from a spell list of your choice, with the same rules applying, with the spellcasting ability modifier being what you from that list is what you have to use as your spellcasting ability modifier. Then we have Cerulean Amber Medallion +2, and it is for players who are level 12 and or found in the Lunar Estate Ruins, which is the area in Liurnia from Ranni's questline, at the end of Ranni's questline. Then you gain 1 additional second level spell slot and 1 additional 4th level spell from a spell list of your choice. Now, you would say this is a little bit broken, on the broken side for that, but it's a 4th level spell and you get 1 additional one, which could cause some shenanigans, but it should not be anything too over the top, because they have to use a different spellcasting modifier than they're used to. Next, we have the Crimson Seed Medallion, which is level 8 and or found in the Saint Tiro's Grave. And when you regain hit points from a spell or magical effect, you may reroll 1 healing die and take the higher result, but you can only use this once per turn. So it's a little bit of a healing buff. It won't matter a ton, because a lot of healing dice are a little bit lower, but that could end up saving you in the long run. Then the Blessed Dew Talisman, and it is level 4 and found in the in Lanedale, the Royal Capital. And once per long rest, when you finish a long rest, you may replace 1 prepared spell of 2nd level or lower with another spell of the same level. So if you are a warlock and you have a 2nd level spell, however, you think you could come up with a funny combo from a druid with using a druid spell, this lets you switch it. Then you have the Viridian Amber Medallions, which increases your walking speed by 5 at level 1, 10 at level 2, and 15 at level 3, and these do stack. And then you have the Green Turtle Talisman, with a prerequisite of level 4, and found in Summonwater Village. which gives you advantage on saving throws against effects that would knock you prone or restrain you. Which, I think you might also be able to add exhaustion to that list if you feel like it's not doing enough, because it's a stamina speed increaser. Next up is the Arsenal Charm. With a prerequisite of level 4, and given by Nefeli Lu, it increases your carrying capacity, increases by 30 pounds, and you have advantage on strength checks to resist being disarmed or shoved. Then this is the same for Arsenal Charm +1 and Great Jar's Arsenal by increasing with 30 pounds for each level, while keeping the advantage on strength checks. Now we have the Erdtree's Favor. At level 1 Erdtree's Favor, you get increase in Constitution by 1 point, your carrying capacity increases by 10 pounds. At level 2, you get the same +1 to Constitution, your walking speed now increases by 5 feet, and the carrying capacity increases to 20 pounds. Then at +2, or level 3, you get increased Constitution by 2, walking speed increases by 10 feet, and your carrying capacity increases by 30 pounds. So, it's not good at one thing, but it's good at everything. In the game, it increases your health, speed, and equip load, and your health would be, very obviously, your Constitution. Your endurance could be walking speed, and carrying capacity is obviously your equip load. Now we are into the heirlooms, which the Star Scourge heirloom is level 8 and are found in Fort Gale, which increases your strength by 2, and once per turn when you hit a creature with a melee weapon using strength, you deal bonus damage equal to your proficiency, which this can be pretty brutal sometimes. Then you get the Prosthesis Wearer's heirloom, and at level 8, then you get it at level 8 and or found in Millicent's questline, which lets you increase your dex by 2, and once per turn when you hit with a finesse or ranged weapon, you deal damage equal to your proficiency bonus. Then you have the Stargazer's heirloom, which is level 4 and or found in the Divine Tower of Liurnia, which lets you increase your intelligence by 2 and gain advantage on 1 intelligence save per long rest. Now we get the Two Fingers heirloom, which is level 4 and found in the Purified Ruins, with an increase in wisdom by 2, and you gain advantage on 1 wisdom save per long rest. Then this is the same for Outer God's heirloom, increasing charisma by 2, and you gain advantage on 1 charisma saving throw per long rest. Now we get into like the shield talismans. First is the Dragon Crest shield, which means while wearing an armor or wielding a shield, you gain +1 to AC. Then Great Shield Talisman, when you take the block action and reduce damage in some way, you can reduce the damage you take by 1d8 plus your proficiency bonus. So the block action is kind of something I just came up with that I'm surprised D&D does not have, but if you hold up your shield, and this also stacks on other damage reducers, except Uncanny Dodge, you have to actually be blocking, but this would be like monk damage reducers, you would be able to further reduce the damage. Then the Spell Drake Talisman, you have resistance to cold, Flame Drake, fire, Bolt Drake, lightning, Halid Drake, radiant, Pearl Drake is 2 between fire, cold, or lightning, and then you have resistance in those types. Now we're on to the Horn Charms, which the immunizing gives you advantage on saving throws against poison, rot, and deathblight. Stalwart is saving throws against frostbite and bleed. Clarifying is advantage against charmed, magically put to sleep, or madness. And then the modded necklace is 2 charm benefits, which are one of these, you choose 2 of them, and then you gain both of them, which is very strong, which is why it is level 16. Next we have the Dagger Talisman, which lets you, when you score a critical hit against a prone creature, which is when you hit somebody while knocked prone, you may reroll 1 damage die. Curved Sword Talisman is when a creature misses you while you're blocking, you may use your reaction to make 1 melee weapon attack against it. So this would be if you like fully negated damage, or they just straight up missed you while blocking, you can make a melee attack against them. Then the Twin Blade Talisman is after you make 3 melee weapon attacks, on your turn you may reroll 1 damage die on the next hit before the end of your next turn. Next up is the Axe Talisman, with a prerequisite of level 4, and when you hit a 2-handed weapon, you may reroll 1 damage die and take the higher result. And next up we have the Axe Talisman, which lets you, when you hit with a 2-handed weapon, you may reroll 1 damage die and take the higher result. This is an effect if you think it's too strong on greatswords, you can always reduce it to once per turn, but I really don't think people are going to be hitting, people could be hitting enough to require a 2-handed, to require this to be nerfed to once per turn, but I'm interested in what you think about this, because I've never really been a fighter kind of guy. I've been a whatever homebrew class I come up with, or magic. So, not exactly the most proficient in axe talismans. Although I am an Oonga Boonga guy. I like giant greatsword and smacking people, but not in D&D. That is a restriction to Elden Ring. And next we have the Spear Talisman, which means when you hit a opportunity attack using a piercing weapon, you may reroll 1 damage die and take the higher result. Then the Lance Talisman is while mounted on something, when you hit with a melee weapon attack, you may reroll 1 damage die and take the higher result. And Claw Talisman is when you hit a creature from above or after falling at least 10 feet, you may reroll 1 damage die and take the higher result, otherwise known as our Jump Attack Talisman. Next is Arrow Sting, which has a prerequisite of level 6, and once per turn when you hit a target with a ranged weapon, you may reroll 1 damage die and take the higher roll. Then Arrow Reach increases the range of a bow, both normal and long, by 30 feet. Now we have the Graven School Talisman, which lets you reroll damage with a wizard or sorcerer spell and reroll 1 damage die, and then take the higher roll. And then you have the Faithful Canvas, which is the same thing for cleric or paladin spells. And then Blood Cult is for warlock or druid. Don't ask me why druid is in here, I just didn't want to leave them out in the little corner. That's only the corner for artificers. Artificers can go sit in their little corner. Although I am playing an artificer. I love artificers. That's not important. Alright, Moon of Noxtella, which is level 12, and you gain 1 additional spell slot of 3rd level or lower. Now, you could increase this if you feel like your players aren't using their 3rd level spells enough, but I didn't want to give them like 5th level, because that would be pretty broken, I'd say. But this is another one where if you guys think I should change it, let me know in comments, because I'm still learning some of these things, because I've never really made it beyond level, like, 7. So, next we have is the Old Lord's Talisman, which is another level 16 one, and once per long rest, you may cast a spell with a duration of at least 1 minute. You may increase its duration by 1 round, which basically is a enhancer for something like Aura Vitality that would let you keep it going for 1 turn, I'd say, but it already goes on for like 10, or 6? I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head, but it goes on for an extra turn. Then Radagon Icon lets you cast spells once per long rest. You may cast a spell that is casting time of 1 action. You may instead cast it with a bonus action. So this is very broken, which is why it's limited to once per long rest. Normally Radagon Icon is a permanent buff, but for the sake of balancing, it needs to be a once per long rest thing. Now, Companion Jar, which is another level 4 one, and when you deal damage with an improvised thrown weapon or alchemical item, add 1 additional damage die. This is for, like, the potion crafters and kind of artificers out there, and you get to do special extra damage with a jar that, like, sits, I guess, on your hip. I don't know. Where do talismans go on your character? Yeah, that's not more. Perfumer Talisman. And then once per turn when you deal damage with alchemical or potion-based effect, you may reroll 1 damage die and take the higher result. Again, potion crafter, artificers, here's what you need. Next up, we got the Carrion Filgrid Crest Talisman. And you get it from EG at level 4, and choose 1 maneuver, feature, or special weapon that possesses limited uses, and you gain 1 additional use of that feature, and you can change which one it is when you finish a long run. Now, the Warrior Jar Shard and the Alexander Shard both do the same thing, but you can reroll 1 damage die and hit higher result. And the Shard of Alexander, you gain 1 additional use of that feature, and you may reroll the damage dice. So Shard of Alexander is a combination of the Carrion Filgrid Crest and Warrior Jar Shard, which is why it's not worth killing Alexander. Hashtag stop Alexander genocide. But next, we have Godfrey Icon. Prerequisite, level 8, found in Golian Lineage Everjail. And when you take the attack action, and you make only 1 attack as a part of that action, that deals 1 additional damage die, and you may reroll that additional damage die and take the higher result. Which this is for, like, charge heavy greatsword kind of stuff. Then, Bullgoat Talisman. It is level 6, and you have advantage on strength and dex saves against being grappled, shoved, knocked prone, or forcibly moved. Next up, we have the Crucible Talismans. Crucible Scale is when you take damage while prone, you may use your reaction to reduce that damage by 1d10 plus your strength. Then the Crucible Feather is when you take the dodge action, the first attack made against you before the start of your next turn takes a penalty equal to your dexterity modifier, minimum of 1. If that attack still hits, you take extra damage equal to your proficiency bonus. So basically this is kind of a rogue thing. This could be very brutal sometimes. Or on monks, but it basically lets you increase your AC for 1 attack. But if it still hits you, you take extra damage, which is not good. But next up is the Crucible Knot, and when you're hit by a critical hit, you may use your reaction to reduce that damage by 1d8 plus your strength. And I'd say our critical hit is when you are knocked prone and the enemy comes up and makes an attack against you. Now, we're on to the Scorpion Charms. And each of these, Magic Scorpion is when you deal force damage, you increase that damage by your proficiency bonus. but until the start of your next turn, you have vulnerability to force damage, so you take extra force damage. And then this is the same for fire, lightning, sacred, and that is all. So again, it's whenever you deal the weapon damage of the charm, you have you increase that damage by your proficiency bonus, but you have vulnerability to it until the end of your next turn. Now you have the Feather Branch Swords. So the red Feather Branch Sword is when you're below half your hit point maximum. Once per turn, when you deal weapon damage, you deal 1 additional damage die. Then blue Feather Branch Sword, you have resistance to piercing, bludgeoning, and slashing damage when below half your hit points. Then Ritual Sword and Shield is when you're at full hit points. Ritual Sword lets you reroll 1 damage die and take the higher result. And Ritual Shield lets you force the creature to reroll 1 damage die and use the lower result, so it reduces the damage. Assassin's Crimson Dagger is when you hit a prone creature with a weapon attack, you regain hit points equal to your proficiency bonus. So this is kind of going to become a game of knocking people prone, but once they are prone, Assassin's Crimson Dagger could be very good. Then Assassin's Cerulean Dagger, once per long rest, when you hit a prone creature with a weapon attack, you regain 1 expended first level spell slot, which, I mean, free spells. Very good. Now we have the consecutive hit talismans. So one is the Winged Sword Insignia, which each consecutive attack that you land does an additional 1d4 damage to a maximum of 3d4, but this bonus resets if you miss or your turn ends. So this is meant for like dual dagger builds that are attacking super duper fast. And luckily for unluckily for rogues, this doesn't work with sneak attack. So this will not just make rogues broke. Next we have Rotten Winged Sword Insignia, which instead of d4s, it is d6s. Then Millicent's Prosthesis lets you increase your dexterity by 1 and do an additional 1d6 for each consecutive attack up to a maximum of 3d6, and it resets on missing, or your turn ends. Godskin Swaddling Cloth. Once per turn when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you regain 1d4 hit points. Then Kindred of Rot Exaltation. Once per turn when a creature within 30 feet of you is poisoned or afflicted with rot, your weapon attacks deal an extra 1d4 damage. Then Lord of Blood's Exaltation is the same thing but with bleed, and it's an additional 1d6 damage. Next up is the Taker's Cameo, with a prerequisite of level 4 and or obtained from Volcano Manor contracts, which lets you once per turn when you kill a hostile creature CR1 or higher, you can regain 1d6 plus your proficiency bonus hit points. Next is the Ancestral Spirit's Horn, and this is once per long rest, hostile creature of CR1 or higher dies within 30 feet of you, regain 1 first level spell slot. Next up, Prepus Vial, level 4, Tanith. After Volcano Manor contracts, you gain 2 of the following benefits: proficiency or expertise, or advantage on dex stealth checks while lightly obscured. So if you have proficiency in stealth, you're gonna get expertise, and you're gonna gain advantage on stealth checks while lightly obscured. Next is the Longtail Cat Talisman, where you take no falling damage from falls 45 feet or less, provided you are not incapacitated, which lets you survive non-fatal falls, pretty much. You don't take any damage from it, so you're probably taking 46 if you fell. But finally, we have the Blue Dancer Charm, and while your equipped load is less than 20 pounds, excluding gold or other money, once per turn when you hit with a melee or ranged weapon attack, you may add 1/2 of your character's level to attack damage, rounded up, and this bonus stacks with your normal ability modifier. So the thing about the equipment load is this includes all the items in your inventory, all your weapons, and all your armor. So you are going to be stuck with natural armor. You are going to be pretty much confined to simple smictors or daggers, or unless you're a monk, this is going to go crazy for you. Monks might single-handedly make this become 1/4, but it'll probably be 1/4 rounded up. So with that is all of the Elden Ring Feats talismans. I know some of them are not particularly usable in base game D&D, which is why I'm working on a D&D Elden Ring campaign that has all of these rules and will 100% be able to use all of these. However, until then, I'm going to keep putting up Elden Ring talismans. Next is Elden Ring sorceries, and then Elden Ring incantations, and eventually I will get to showing off the Limgrave that I have made, or I'm working on. That's more accurate, working on. However, until then, I will catch you all in the next one, and hopefully Wilder will stop aura farming on your page. Because as of right now, he is just aura farming.